Hi and welcome to another episode of the Getting Things Done podcast from Vital Learning. I am as always Morten and I am as always here with my good friend and colleague Lars Rotskil Hendriksen. Привет Lars.
Привет Mr. Morten. Happy to be here with you and with all of our listeners and viewers. We always start off with a quick reminder of the purpose of this podcast, which is to help you learn GTD or become even better GTDers. If you are new to GTD, we always recommend you go back and listen to episodes 1 through 6 to get an introduction to the basics of GTD, the 5 steps. Today's episode number is 86, and today's episode is titled Designing the Ideal GTD Workspace.
Indeed, it's going to be an interesting episode, I think, because we will try and lay out the basics of what we think is the best practices of setting up and help you think about how you can set up your workspace in an optimal way. But before we get there, I would like to ask you to subscribe and like us. If you subscribe and like, we will get more likes and more people will find us. So if you're on your podcast player, please do that. And suggest, if you want, you can give us a rating. Maybe 5 is a good number. No, I'm joking just a little, but yes. Enough? Is it enough?
Enough,
Should I go
I think.
It's enough. I think they are.
I think I will migrate us back towards today's topic.
Okay.
Which is to give you just a quick background on how this topic came up. Actually, this came from a coaching client. On a more serious note, came from a coaching client who was impacted by a hurricane and now rebuilding their house, and came back to me with a question of what to keep in mind when designing this new office. So, taking the positive perspective on that event, what possibilities, what opportunities might there be now to, take a fresh start? So this is a space we've designated for the office. How do we set everything up optimally to make sure that they work best for us? For where this couple shared, 2 people sharing an office, both GTDers, and how to actually design this. So we've been emailing a bit about that, and I thought, well, maybe we could actually make that into an episode. So that's really the background for today's talk.
And one of the things that we discussed briefly in the pre-show, or that I said, is that I think that to become or to be intentional about your workspace is, if you want to be a good GTDer, that's, I think, one of the keys. And I will give you a keyword for that, is that, design your workspace intentionally to remove friction. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Yeah, make sure that it's so easy. I was just looking through some old notes. So just a slight detour. I have a section in my digital reference system where I throw stuff in that I'm not sure where to put, but I don't want to lose it. So it's, I think it started out as quotes, and now it's fun facts, tips, tricks, quotes, and something else. It's really a mix of all different kinds of things. But just, fun, interesting tidbits that I came across over the years. Ran across that one, and it was just fun to see these older thoughts, and also how they related in today's topic.
Yes. So we need to also discuss the functionality of an office. How should it function? And one of the things that I've been thinking about, that we also discussed in the pre-show, was that you have to, for many people now, it's a reality that you have a home office and an office and maybe a road office. And these 3 needs to play well together. And David would recommend you to set up, your home office as you set up your work office. But if you are in an open landscape with free seating, and you can't arrange your clean desk and free seating, then you can't arrange the desk to become yours. So it must be kind of a hybrid of the road warrior setup, I would guess. And one reflection that I've been doing now is that a lot of the people that I meet and talk to has actually a better setup in their home office than what they have in their office. And I think you have seen the same, Lars?
Yeah, especially that free seating thing is really a challenge when you are dependent of so many different components that you want to have at hand or as part of your workspace when you sit down as a GTDer to do your work. There are some things I would like to have here, and obviously with free seating, I come across that pretty frequently, that people really miss that, being able to both set up their systems and make sure that everything is the way that they want it to be, have their in tray, have have the GTD workflow map hanging on the wall next to them, right?
Yeah. Put your dagger in the desk. Say, this is my space.
Yeah. And that seems to be the case also in some companies, at least, that there are some, it's free seating, but not really free. There's like, if you take that one, then John is gonna stand there next to you when he shows up, and he's gonna look at you until you leave. Yeah. So, but it is certainly a challenge, and that obviously then sets up some different requirements for the people using it and making it a more portable office. So perhaps back in the day, even for David, with all of his travels that he did for so many years, he would have a very flexible system that he could set up really anywhere, and that's perhaps what it has come to, for at least for the people that are in offices with free seating.
Yeah. And so I think that the key to have a functional, free seating, clean desk setup is to have the setup with you. So you need to have something that could be your capture tool. And if you look at the capture tool, it's probably one of the most important things to have, either wherever you are as a GTD, or just to get things out of your head when they pop up or show up, and then that should be going with you. So I've gone fancy. I'm using now. Yes. Well, I'm just going to show you. This is a Toma. And for those of you who are not on video, you can't see this, but I'm showing an Atoma notebook and my trusted fountain pen. And when it gives me the feeling of being exclusive when I'm out and about. And if not, I'm using my Remarkable, where I have my notes set up. But as a free-form capture tool, I do enjoy the Atoma. When I'm, for instance, at a cafe or at working, or when I'm in waiting for a client to arrive, I sit in a lobby or in a meeting room waiting, then this is my preferred way of capturing. I have those two when I sit down to work. So what do you use, Lars, as your road warrior setup for capture?
Well, I think when it comes to capturing, I still most of the time will capture to my watch. For the most part, I switched back to start using BrainTOS once again. Heard from many of you that the instability issues that I came across when I was using it a few years ago, those have been ironed out, and that seems to be the case. So I tend to use that a lot. When it comes to paper and writing things down, I have my trusted GTD wallet still. That still goes with me, and I'll tend to use that a lot in settings where it doesn't make sense to speak to your watch, or it doesn't make sense to bring out your phone, sending the wrong signals that you might be doing something else. And if I'm sitting down, or if in coaching and I really want to sort of enjoy the the capture process, somewhat similar to what you said with having a really nice pen that I got from a client. I have this. I'm going to butcher the name, so apologies both to the German listeners and really anyone else listening. Leuchtturm, I think, is the is the name of it.
I have no idea.
They make some. No, they're so nice. And it was really, way too expensive. I think I paid like 40 euros maybe for one small book that then using as very nice yellowish paper. It's glued, so I'm not feeling too bad when I rip out a page. The paper is nice and crisp, and so when I really want to be fancy Lars, then I'll bring that one out. But the other side of that is that I might sometimes have a tendency not to use it because it was pretty expensive to me. And is this idea good enough to be? Is it worth that expensive sheet of paper, or that kind of thing? But I've gotten over that hump when I started using it more.
Yeah, and it is the feeling of. I have people saying to me, "Oh, I have to buy something and it costs so much," and I said, "How much is your ideas worth? How much is your feeling relaxed and calm and present? How much is that worth? And how much worth is it to you to have something you love, touch and feel, and use?"
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that don't let that it's you can get really when it comes to fountain pens, you can pay like $1 million for a fountain pen, literally, and that may be a little exaggerated.
But how much is your ideas worth, Morten?
yeah. Well, not $1 million.
Okay.
Well, maybe I don't know that yet, but I'm not come
That's
across a $1 million idea that I might have lost one that before GTD. But to have what we are alluding to now, what we call the basic GTD setup in a workspace, if it is portable or office or home office, then a capture tool is necessary. And the only reason I didn't mention my capture wallet is because we have closed our web shop, capturewallet.com. And people are, where can I buy? We get an email a week about this, and I'm sorry, but we did that, and so I'm not going to, give a show candy to a hungry kid. So we will not talk about that anymore.
Sorry, I did.
You did. So hate mail can be relayed to Lars at VitalLearning.eu. if you want to punish him. To have a capture tool is necessary. It could be the wallet, it can be piece of paper, it can be a notebook, it can be a Remarkable, it can be anything really, a tablet of any sort that you can take notes. And the idea is that this is where you capture your ideas and thoughts of what you need to get done. And another thing that I recommend people to have, and that I also have in my bag, is a capture, not a capture, but a travel in tray, which is actually a travel. I will show it on the camera now because I have an extra one line here. It's just a plain folder. It's red and it says inbox, and you can capture things inside it. And if you've been to one of our courses before, you will have gotten one. So that is handy. It's just a manila folder with it has colors. It's not in manila color. That's the only difference. And it's a way where you can throw your notes when you're ready with them, or your piece of paper inside, and then you will either empty it from that where you clarify and organize them from there, or if you're on the road, or when you get back to the office or home office, if you have an in-tray, that should also be something you have. And what do you have for in-tray or an inbox when you travel, Lars?
Yeah. Same for me.
Same.
Have the good old one that was used globally as well. The red in folder. So I have that still. It's pretty worn. I don't think it says in anymore as it used to, but it still works. Still fine.
Still works.
And and in my bag I also carry a couple of the old system folders that we used to have. One for support material and one for stuff that I need to bring from the office to my home.
Yes. And for those, and I've seen some really fancy in trays, and one I really like that I wish I remember, because I didn't capture that, of course, dummy me. But I've seen an A4 size or letter size in tray in leather. That's so it's flat when you have it in your bag, but when you take it out, you can just flip the corners, and it kind of raises up and it becomes a travel in tray. That's kind of like the
Nice.
Feeling of exclusivity. You should never underestimate the feeling of something make you feel good. You want to use it. So
good one. I'm sure someone out there will know which one that is.
Podcast at podcast at VitalLearning.eu. Please inform us. Send us if you know what I'm talking about. But it's a rather thin leather, like a sheet when it's folded out, and then just flip it up. It's kind of some metal that helps it stand up. I don't know how that works, but it looked juicy, and I want one. Thank you. So the basic
but otherwise
setup
on the go, I would normally in many cases. So what I was thinking of, so what do I actually do when I travel? I get to the hotel, get to my room, I'll plug in the different chargers, I'll set up my iPad Pro, and most of the time that'll be my capture tool. I don't use a lot of paper when I'm on the go. So many times I will capture just simply directly into my system and use that as my workspace as well.
No, I'm also capturing digitally when I'm on the go, and but it is and as I use my Apple Watch and I use my iPhone, and as for those of you who follow the podcast will remember maybe is that I've switched now recently to Apple Reminders. I'm still there. It still works good, and I like it. And especially I like the Siri integration, where I can just talk to my watch or my phone and telling, hey lady, remind me of something, and it will go into my inbox. And
do you use it in Norwegian or in English?
Norwegian.
And that works okay?
Yeah, it does. She's a little stupid when it comes to like foreign names and some of the things I would like her to understand without telling her. But it is, I will understand it after when I get to the office. I will remember what it is. So, but and she sometimes misspells something, but that's not important. I just need to understand what I just said. So when I clarify and organize that, I will just have to understand it then, and it is enough. And one of the things that I really love is that when I'm in a call and I call up, hang up, I can tell a bit. Even I've never tried that. Maybe I should try that. No, maybe not. It's not going to work. But after I call, I can say, "Remind me of this," and she will remind me of that call. Or remind when I'm in a text, remind me of this, or if I'm in Apple Mail, remind me of this, and then that email will be attached to, so I can just get quickly back to that, whatever it is I was doing. And I truly enjoy that. But it is, of course, you have to be somewhere where you actually can talk to yourself or to your watch. It's kind of like, and but if you are in a in a space where you can't, and I still like physical capturing. I don't know why that is, but it is helpful for me. So, anything else that you have in your Road Warrior setup That might be.
No, not in the Road Warrior version. But obviously, I have some things set up on my physical office desk where we are recording this right now that would differ from that. I don't know if we want to go that route as well, or do you want to wrap up the Road Warrior version of the Office first?
Yeah, I was thinking that because it is the Road Warrior and the open the open office clean desk environment, that's going to be the same. So your Road Warrior will be also what you need there. So it might be. I call it Road Warrior because it's functional. It's functional for both the open office and the Road Warrior setup. So. No, I'm the only thing that I can think of that I have with me is an action support folder. So if I have something I need to get done, like if I know that I will swing by the local hardware store to exchange, to buy something new where I have a receipt, then I will, or to exchange some goods in a hardware store. That's not very often I do, but you need a receipt, then that will be in my action support material folder.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing in addition to what we just said. That's with me. And you don't have anything else in your bag that's GTD related?
That really is it. No, the inbox, my iPad support folder, and to home. That's really all there is, and something to write with, and of course the capture one that we should not mention.
Yeah, and the one of the things that I've been thinking about, we talked about be intentional and be intentional to remove friction. I'm sure that you are intentional with the bag you use. Maybe people would like to know what that is.
Yeah, and that would help if you explain yours first, because then I can look what mine is called.
Okay, I will get it.
And then they both left.
Yeah, we both left the stage. No, I am using a slim backpack, and it's from a company called Mark Ryden, and it's just a standard slim backpack. It's very light, and it has just one big room where I can have my MacBook inside and my whatever I need to take off charges and such, and then an outer room for pens and whatever else I need to carry. It's fairly small. It's not very big, but it is very functional. It's easy to carry, and it's black, and it's look businessy enough that I feel I can get away with a backpack.
Yeah. So. Mine actually, I think I asked about this actually on the internal forums that we have in VitalLearning. I think Jukka Backman from Finland recommended this one. It's from Tuscany leather, so it's actually sort of a brown over-the-shoulder bag like this.
Ooh. Yes.
And it's works really well, ages nicely. Had it for I guess a year now, and it's looks basically as it did when it was brand new. Has my last name engraved at the bottom as well, so won't get lost should anyone else have it. So really enjoyed this one. So that's certainly a recommendation from my end.
Yeah, and it is. We are now talking about, and I understand we have a kind of what we call a pattern here. Is that we both use things we like. That gives us. I think that it was an intentional buy, because I'm not going to ask you how much that costs, because I'm sure that is not exactly cheap what you have, but it is. But it fills you with joy, doesn't it?
Yeah, and actually, I think pricing wise, I think so. We both had the same bag earlier because that's what
Yeah,
I stole that idea from you. The old
yeah.
the Evernote
Evernote.
one, the
Yeah,
gray one. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it
Evernote
was about
commuter
the same
bag, I
price
think.
actually. Yeah,
Ah,
so that was a nice one. I still use that actually to for one of the laptops that I might bring to a seminar. So if I'm doing
mm,
a Windows specific setup, I have my Windows Surface and it's actually in that bag.
mm.
So still use that one as well.
Yeah, and that is the triangle commuter bag. I think it's called Evernote. And I'm sad
Mm.
they stopped selling that because mine got worn a little out. It isn't as beautiful it is once was. But I wish
Mm.
somebody would take up that design again because it was perfect for if you want to have a what do you call it, cross. What do you call it, cross bag? No,
Mm. Yeah, just over the shoulder
over the
kind of thing.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it is because it was fairly comfortable to carry, and it was the functionality of the bag made it into a very functional little office. You open the bag,
Mm.
you just open the flap, and suddenly everything was available to you.
And it could stand on its own. I think I
Yeah,
still miss that ability. And you know, your in tray was right there, and yeah, it was very nice.
yeah, yes,
We
yes,
we
it
missed
was.
that.
Yeah, yeah, you missed that. So if somebody knows who makes, if there's somebody start making them, because I remember a couple of years ago I started looking for that again, and I found that nowhere in the world where I looked at it I could find the same. It's made in originally
Mm.
in Japan. I think it is a Japanese brand, very high quality. I love that bag. So
That's very
again,
nice.
podcast at GTD. And sorry, I'm still in it. I'm still I'm still in the GTD Nordic days, but it is Vital Learning. So podcast at VitalLearning.ek if you know where you can buy those. And I can, you can find it secondhand in eBay and such, but I would like to prefer to buy it new. And maybe if they
Mm.
made a leather one, Lars, think about that.
Oh wow,
Now
wow.
we are now we are talking.
Now we're talking. Now, how much would you pay?
Yeah, exactly. So we are going to be the expensive show this for people, but
Yeah, it
okay.
might be.
Yeah. Let's get back to intentional designing of your office. So now let's go to, if you have the possibility to design your own office and your own home office space. How would you go about doing that? How would you plan that, Lars?
Well, I'm just, as we were preparing, I just quickly, brainstormed the different components that I have in my office. We just talked about capture tools. I have the old one. I think we mentioned that in the tool setup episodes as well. The Exacompta, the French one, which I still enjoy very much. As for a pen, I still haven't graduated to the, really appreciating my pen level. Yeah, you're showing the one that I have as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
just have one of the old, again, GTD Nordic pens that
Yeah.
I use for this.
Mm-hmm.
Just an in tray setup, a picture of my family, nice screen setup.
Mm-hmm.
Good big desk. I think that actually made a difference for me. I had a temporary workspace at one point, and really having everything set up and accessible and room to actually work when I need that space. It's just so valuable. So a nice big desk that I can lower and raise when I want to stand. That's been really helpful for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I have the same idea. I have a different desk than you. I don't have a, what do you call it, sit and stand desk, but it is I have a, how would you say that, a computer workspace where I can hydraulically lift very fast and easy. And I also have an in tray. Not that it is very often in use anymore because the world isn't as physical as it was. And when I'm out and about, that's probably in the receipt system what I have the most that I need to take care of. Now that lives in my red in folder in my bag. Yeah, and we are specifically, both of us. I don't know if I also have a photo of my family. I have a photo. And I also have a place where I can put things I want to memorize. I don't know if you use that, but that's a trick I learned, or I understood was good for me many years ago, but it is I have a felt divider wall in the office where I can pin pieces of paper on, and now I'm trying to remember, because I used to, and I want to be still the abbreviation guy. So for instance, what does GIF in GIF or GIF stand for?
Graphics interchange format. Next question.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I will ask you, what does in Chat GPT? What does the GPT stand for?
Oh, that I don't know.
No, generative pre-trained transformer. So there you go. No, but it is. I don't. These are some little things I want to remember or memorize. Like I want to make. I have another note. How to make a line shift in Google Sheet inside a cell, and that is Control Alt Enter. So okay, I will. If I don't remember, I will look there. And then after a while, it will be committed long-term memory, or it will be in my muscle memory, and then I can just toss it away. So
yeah,
that's been a valuable part of my GTD setup, because I don't want to have a cluttered desk with all pieces of paper of things I need to remember or want to make into my long-term memory. But when you come into a GTDer's office, because I walk into GTDer's office all the time when we do the coaching, or pre-COVID a lot now, not as often in physical, but still. I'm looking at, are they intentional with their office? Is everything does everything has a space? Does everything has a function? And the function can be decor, as long as you're intentional on what's in your work environment. If you're intentional, then you will not have anything in your workspace that pulls on your attention, like stacks of which is what we probably don't like. And for those of you who don't know what a stack of is, that's a stack of paper where you can look at each one of them and say, what is this? And buy some maybe idea at the time you take. Maybe I need to take. I need to save this. Maybe I will need it later, or maybe I will move on this later, and then it becomes a stacks of. But one of the most. I don't know if you do this ever, but sometimes my desk get a little cluttered, a little too many things there. And one of the things I really enjoy is cleaning up, just tossing things away and make it clean, and then step away, go to the toilet or something, and come back and just see my pristine workspace. And then I'm, ooh.
I like to do that, especially on Fridays, making sure that everything is just so I know when I show up Monday morning that'll just be nice and ready. That works really well for me. Speaking of acronyms, I think REDS was the one that we, I don't know if we still use it, reference, equipment, decoration, and supplies, right? Those were the 4 categories that we would be looking for. And really, much in line with what you're saying, what I would be looking for is things that should not be there, getting rid of things. If you were to come to my office, you would see very little, I would say, just the bare minimum of what I actually need on a daily basis. So there'll be some things like I have a wall full of drawings from the boys over here, not really necessarily a productivity enhancement, but I like it. but really much of what is
that motivates
you.
I'm sure.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I have kids.
Yeah. So what I'll typically be looking for is probably things like support material that they have a space to be in. And again, you've probably seen this over the years as well, that this can really take so many different shapes and forms, and making sure that you have the setup at the office that you need to support this. So, I had one guy who made these prototypes of machines. He would get bent pieces of metal back to his inbox. So his support material was, steel shelves in the basement. Had an HR business partner, supported 5 different teams in the organization. She wanted to bring some materials with her all the time when she went to meetings with those different teams. So we set up a hanging file for her just to grab the correct corresponding folder when she left the office, brought that with her. So making sure that you have a good, nice place for, support material, perhaps an outbox if you need it, obviously a trash can. I have a whiteboard as well that I use sometimes for getting an overview of things. Like to play with that as well. So things like that are really valuable to me.
Yes. And I also do have some, hanging folders, or it is my project archive system. So when something is finished, if there's any physical material, it goes into my archive system. And that brings us a little back to, you mentioned initially that we got an email, or you worked with some people, and they had physical archiving, and they had since they were going to set up a new space, how do they do that? And yes, how do they do that?
Yeah, that is indeed the question. Again, so your reference setup needs will of course vary, and that depends on what you need to have room for. So, like you, I have a hanging file folder system behind me, just out of the camera shot, and it's it works well for me. I have not put much new stuff in there. I mean, that's like once a month, I think now, because I have so much of what I need. I definitely still need it because I need to, place the, I have some vouchers that I need to have accessible. I have some trainer materials, guides for different webinars, things like that. So for most of my needs today, it's really just going over there, picking the one I need, and then when I'm done with it, putting it back. But in this specific scenario, there were sort of 2 characteristics that I think we can share. One being that there was at least a larger volume than in my needs. The other one was that there were 2 people using the reference system setup. So that's also part of the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because I was curious to hear your thoughts on how that might work, any experience in how to set that up, because obviously we are all different people, different needs, different ways of organizing. When we share them, how does that work? What would you recommend?
The first I would I think it makes sense that if they have material that both need to reference, then they should have one system. That's my first thinking, and the second or maybe 3 systems where it's then it gets complicated, because then you will have some place where they would put their common, or what they have to, the reference system that they have to work on together, and then 2 separate ones for 2 personal ones. But it depends, but from what you say, I would say just 1 system if they need to share, or 2 systems if that's not necessary to share information. And then I would put on the top of the order of the day, get into alignment and agreement on how you would name your folders. How do you structure your information, so that especially if you are sharing your system, if there's a shared system at some point, get very clear on how you name things and how you make it accessible. How do you sort them? So and I've been using all the time, and I'm still using that the A to C folders, where you have a system for, and this is where it gets a little tricky. So if they are doing clients, it might be the client name on the folder, or it's the project within that client. So it might start with the client and then the project name for the folders, and just then archive them from A to Z. That would be my first take on that. What would your take be, Lars?
No, exactly, and then that's also what I recommended. Thinking a bit about how you then organize it then by, it could be like a client, it could be by areas of focus. It could, depends on really the content. And I guess my best reference, so the archive that we have here at the office, that's really my setup. I'm the only one using it, so it's pretty straightforward. At home, we have a shared archive set up, and I think it's just never really been a challenge, perhaps because the complexity of what we put in there is pretty low. So I think that's probably why it has not shown up as a challenge, because what we put in there is passports. Well, that's going to go under P. We don't really have to, think of, too many different ways of organizing those. So for our very simple needs there, it really hasn't come up as an issue. But it's like you said, I can only echo what you said, that being clear on how you label things so you know how to find them. That's a good starting point. Perhaps also reflect on whether it needs to be a shared archive or whether it could be separate archives.
Yeah.
Just
if you don't need to see each other's stuff, then have two separate.
Yeah, that might also be an approach. And I do see this with, I have a coaching client comes to mind where they had a shared drive space working in sales manager in a few countries. Other countries were using the same structure, but not diligently. So there was a lot of cleanup to be done when they migrated from one backup platform to another. But really, being clear on that. It's tedious, it's time consuming, but it's so helpful in the end when you actually need to find things and you can just quickly find them.
Yeah, I'm reminded of, we got an email from a listener who suggested a book and a podcast for us, where it's a lot about how do you structure your stuff so you can find it. So you don't put T-shirts in your socks drawer, because that's not where you expect to find them. This idea got me thinking. I got inspired, and I'm now experimenting with the potential of folderless filing system for digital documents. Yes.
So it's just a stack.
No, it's just it's a stack of but it makes but it is, well, it's not a stack of because you're trying to.
I almost got you.
No, you didn't, because it is intentional that it's in there. The stack of is an unintentional stack of things you haven't decided on. But if something, and let's be clear, people, that what we are talking about now is a reference system, is materials, digital or physical, that you need to see again maybe later for reference. If it is any action connected to it, that actions need to be extracted and put in the next action system, and then maybe with a link or some kind of reference to where you will find it later. I think that is so important. But if you have reference material, like I have a contract with a client, I have a receipt when I do something with the company, I have personal receipts, I need to find and there's tons of documents and for those of you, I think at some point not far from, well, how many episodes is that? I don't remember. But you remember I talked about my filing system, my nomenclature for naming files. And I'm using that now, where I use the year, the dash, month, dash, date, and then what is it, and what's the status, and go back and revisit that. What I've done is I've created, now we are getting onto in a rabbit hole here for 2 seconds, but bear with us because it's exciting. Whee! No, but I'm using a text expander to name the files. So if I have a file I need to make a reference of, what I do is that I change the name of the file using the text expander snippet. That helps me to remember my nomenclature. So I'm asked all the question, I just fill in the blanks and then click save, and then it changes the name. And when it's changed from my inbox, it automatically gets filed. using Automator. I built Automator scripts that will, from the Mac Automator, that will then look at the folder and will set if it has the name receipt, then move it to this folder, and it could actually go. And what I'm trying to do, I'm not sure if I will ever get there, but I'm also looking for the folder less, where I will just have one place which is called my reference, and then I will use smart folders. Smart folders is search folders where you can search on different criteria. So it's if it is within 2022, it's a receipt, and it is from regarding lunch, then that will be one folder. If I wanted to slice and dice it like this, but that is, I'm trying to do that now, and I'm excited of what I'm seeing. It's as long as you set up the necessary folders, it could be the folderless archiving system. I'm excited. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about this? Does it? You want to try this?
No, I think that's one of the areas where we differ the most in the different needs that we have. You have a much more advanced archiving system. I mean, I would just search for that. And why would you have a smart folder? It's just searching it. So we differ.
But instead of having a folder, create a folder somewhere that you might or might not remember you have about contracts from clients. Then why not just create that smart folder and just be intentional at your file naming, and it would automatically show up.
But then I could forget the name of the smart folder. That's the same applies to both cases.
The smart folder will be in the sidebar of your Finder. Which
a normal folder could also be. I'm sorry, I may be missing something.
Could be. Yeah, but it is as long as you're intentional with. I'm just saying that I want to create one folder, and wherever I put things like this folder here, I have to. For instance, I have work receipts and I have personal receipts. Sometimes I don't remember where I put it, because sometimes I buy things for the office that I use also personally and my spare time, and I don't remember which folder I put them. So instead of looking for it, of course I can then, because I'm very intentional about I can search for that. But also if I had then just two folders, one for personal and one for professional receipts, that will be very easy to find. No matter where I put them, I can archive them, and I can be really tired one day and archive it under a different folder, but I will still find it. Okay. You're not excited.
No.
Okay.
I am not. Well, it's just because I don't have that need. I don't archive all those receipts if they have to go into. If I need them for bookkeeping, they go into the bookkeeping software. If I need them personally, they go into the receipts pocket that I have at the home office, and that's it. I don't have any other needs. But I know you're not alone. I mean, we see that in the emails that we get, that people, I really like modern systems. So I'm not. I just don't have that need. So I don't need to have that kind of advanced setup.
No. But what I think that you need as a bare minimum though is to have a naming convention, or at least an intentional file naming. So if it is not just scan3254-6.pdf and then you can't find it again, and then just rename it to something that makes sense to you, so that it is easy to make a search, at least, no matter where it goes. Agreed?
Sure.
That's a bare bone system.
Let's agree to agree on that one.
Okay, good. Anything we've forgotten to mention here about?
No, I think just over as we take a step back and overall set up, have a good computer that works well. A nice exactly. A nice, keyboard, nice mouse, a nice printer, a nice list manager, whatever works for you. Again, another place that we differ. I have two screens here at the office. as we spoke about last time. I cannot live with just one screen. I've actually, as we've spoken about before, I bought the iPad Pro, and I was sort of not sure whether that was really in the end the right thing for me to purchase. And I'm still not sure about that. But part of the main reason that I feel less productive using it is that I only have one screen. So that's part of a reflection I came across recently, where, when I'm here at the office, I'll have my, at different times during the day, I'll open different pieces of software. I'll want, my one email that I got on one side, and then my response on the other side, so I can respond to each of the sections that were in that email, for example. I know I can set that up, and I've started to do that on the iPad, but that's really what it comes back to, that I need that kind of screen space. So for me, definitely two screens to work from.
Yeah, I also have two screens, but the second screen is I use my MacBook Air as my main driver, and that also goes on the big 27 or 27 inch isn't big anymore, but it is big-ish. But then I have a 13 something, I think, inches MacBook Air screen as well. So I keep the calendar there just to keep an overview where am I at today.
Nice.
And, just to have that as a reference. So when I move through my day and I get deep dive into something, I lost the feeling of time and space, I can just glance up and see if, am I getting close to something I need to get out of my bubble.
No, otherwise I think it really comes back to what you said originally, which is that friction free. So depending on your needs, I mean, I have my drawers next to me with all the different things that I might need to have at hand, for different things. Having that available, swivel distance from my chair, that works really well. I think that's pretty much the setup that I have. Printer nearby, all good.
Yeah, I just want to go back to just 1 second or half a minute to go back to the intentional setting up to remove friction, and just go into computers and to especially mobile phones. I meet people who are, and this is one of my pet peeves, and I think I mentioned this before on the podcast, that I meet people who are in this well-paid at a well-paid part of a company, and they are supposed to deliver on their deliverables. They have KPIs and they have demands on them, and they're using suboptimal tools like an old PC that is bogged down. It takes 4 or 5 minutes to start when you restart it, and your phone is old and is not very functional. You need a bigger screen, or it's it's not working properly. Then this is just the same as giving a butcher a dull knife. You never do that, because the job takes longer time, and you can cut yourself with a dull knife. So don't do that, and be intentional on your. And if you have have a PC that's old and not working well, consider get a new one if possible, and don't be a Scrooge with yourself for that. It's saving on the wrong things. There's a lot of other things you can save money on, but not on that. Not equipment. A tool for a knowledge worker needs to be sharp. It needs to be friction free.
Yeah, no, agree. And one last thing, very important for my productivity, a good coffee machine. That also helps in an optimal GTD space for me. Good coffee, that works well.
Did you see my coffee mug?
Yeah.
Do you know what this is?
Very spacey.
Yeah, well, it's this is my, as you know, Lars, tomorrow is my 60th birthday, so I'm getting older and old. I will not be in my 50s anymore. I will be in my 60s, as people around me keep telling me. But this is an Ember mug, and it's just a thermos mug with a battery and a heater built in. and it keeps my coffee hot, because when I drink coffee, I get the first part is hot, and then I forget it, and then I drink it, and it gets cold, and I have two options: either to just swivel it down, and or go tossing the coffee in the sink, and pour me a new one. But this keeps it warm for an hour and a half on the battery, and I can also set it down on my stand here, a little coaster, and it charges it automatically. It takes about an hour to charge for full, and it is I just had it for a couple of days, but that makes big sense. I also have a good coffee maker here, so yeah. Take
Thought
good
that was
care
an
of you.
important tip as well. Make sure you have the right things that you need.
Yeah. Okay, Lars, will you take us out, please?
Happy to do that. And we always do that with a quick reminder to head on over to VitalLearning.eu. Have a look around at the website there. You'll find more information about the different offerings that we have in Vital Learning within GTD, but also with crucial conversations, for example. So go over there, have a look around, or navigate to the different country websites to learn more in those local languages. For those of you outside the Nordics, head on over to cruciallearning.com, and they'll direct you to the local partners. We also like to mention that there is something called the GTD Summer Camp. It takes place in 2023 as well as it has in the past few years. This year is June 17 to 18, but it might be the case that we actually don't have any more tickets by the time you listen to this. So as we are recording this, there are 3 tickets left, and both Morten and I know of people that will still sign up. If you're still thinking about it, don't think anymore. gtdsummercamp.com. Go there, read more about it, and sign up.
Yes.
And I think we might make a waiting list as well for those of you who might not make it in time. See what we can do if we are able to find some more spaces, for example. But to be sure to reserve your seat, be sure to book right away.
Go. And how many, when we are fully booked with the 3 that we like, how many
will be 40 this year, I think. That's the starting point that we've set up. And that's, I think, a good number, 40, 45 maybe, that we'll find at Kubikstein, where we are having the event.
But if the people, if you run out of spaces, will you will not be able to book a ticket, or?
No, that's right. So we'll certainly look into the possibility, but I doubt there will be much more room, because we were, I think, 34 last year, and I thought that was pretty suitable for the room, and we might fit in 5 more people without any issues, maybe 5 more than that. But I think that's probably the maximum amount of people that will be this year. So be sure to sign up quickly. Morten will be there. I will be there. Both of our wives will be there as well. So
come and meet us and a lot of the trainers in the Nordic region, and the people are coming from all over the world. So you are most welcome. Yes, indeed. and don't forget to click like and subscribe. Give us a rating wherever you listen to us. It's highly appreciated. And if you have a comment or something you would like to tell us, please let us know by sending us an email at podcast@gtd. There I go again. Old habits die hard, that's for sure. Podcast.
Did you have that on your wall so you remembered it?
I will try and put it on my felt wall, so my felt divider wall. So it's podcast@VitalLearning.dk is the correct address. So please send us an email. Anything else we need to say before we wrap up?
I think that's about it. Hope this was helpful as always, and reflecting on, you might not be designing a new office, but just reflecting on the workspace that you have, perhaps on the go, perhaps as a at a hotel, wherever it might be. Just reflecting on that you have the right tools, removing friction, like you said, Morten. I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
Yep. And until next time, as always, stay safe and stay productive. And remember, podcast@VitalLearning.dk. Bye-bye. please let us know by sending us an email at podcast@gtd. There I go again. Old habits die hard, that's for sure.